and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 592 for the week of Monday, August 14th, 2023. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with us this week? With me this week?
Brock Sager.
Who of us is here this week with me?
Brock Sager.
Brock Sager. Other people are here. Hello.
Yes, and Kevin and
Lane.
Well-oiled machine as always.
Yeah, well, Ryan, when you get us out of the groove, things fall apart.
I know. No. It falls apart all the time anyway.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. We forgot how to do it.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, schedules are all funky. Toby's in Hawaii. Hopefully, he may be joining us on this call. She's okay as far as we know. I have not heard anything, but massive fires in Maui, but he's not there. He's in other parts of Hawaii, but he's been gone all last week. So hopefully he's okay. Yeah, we've had funky episodes the last handful of times we did it after a big break. So we're getting back to random news. I got all sorts of random news, like, and it's funny. It's like, there's been stuff, but there hasn't been even a ton. But I figured we got a bunch of cool random things to talk about here. Forgive me if we mentioned some of this in a previous episode, kind of offhanded. I since we did not talk any real news, I didn't really go through and edit anything. But some of this is like Comic-Con stuff we never talked about. Some of this is stuff. There's a couple bigger stories from recent that I definitely from this past week that I want to get to as well. But there's going to be a couple. Where is my list? There's been a couple of big things with the IDW, Critter on Comics, and Marvel Effects workers, and there's been some bigger things coming up. But it's kind of good there's in chronological order because the oldest stuff first seems to make the most sense. This was one that I was super happy to hear about. I, again, never talked about this. It's like a month ago now, but it is worth talking about, damn it, because I don't care about any characters. I don't care about casting of random people. I love all this stuff, but I will talk about Anthony Carrigan being announced in the role of Metamorpho in Superman Legacy. Okay, forget everything else. This is the real big casting, all right? NoHo Hank himself is going to be Metamorpho, clearly the biggest news story of 2023. Kevin, I know you agree. I know you're in. Raised your Superman Legacy expectations a whole grade, right?
I love the casting, but I really wanted a Superman movie, not a Justice League movie. So every time they announced a new character, my interest level actually dropped, not rose. But if you say we're making an Outsiders movie and he's playing Metamorpho, it's like, hell yeah, let's roll. Let's go now.
I expect these roles will all be minor. But
I hope.
Yeah.
I really just wanted to see Superman shine on his own as their first one out of the gate. That's all.
Fun cameo to show the world, but no, I just I don't binge. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't binge new shows. I binge old shows. So we binged Barry fairly recently since it was wrapping up, and Anthony Carrigan, easily one of the highlights of that show.
Yep.
As NoHo Hank, one of the hilarious characters, so good. And it's funny, someone play him. Just look at the pictures. I was like, oh yeah, oh no, he 100% looks like Metamorpho. That is an awesome casting job. It's so funny. It's such a good casting. Yeah, far from the world's most important news, but I thought it was really, I thought it was a really funny story, and I loved it. I love that I love some of the people they've cast. I mean, we talked about Nathan Fillion, right, as Guy Gardner. I think we did talk about that. That was prior. Which again, I don't need him to be in the entire movie, but I love the idea of him, being a fun cameo for, a couple scenes and have him in the background and have him show up occasionally. I don't, I love Guy. I don't need, I don't need him front and center in a ton of projects, but it's fun to have that character in the world. Yeah, we're not going to be talking too much about movie stuff going forward, I don't think, with the strike going on. I did want to jump slightly more recent, only because as part of all the delays of everything happening with the world of comic movies, the Marvel Studio visual effects employees are filing to join one of the unions. So they are going to be working with, I had it here, bro. Is it the IATSE union? So one of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. So that is, when I say another blow to Marvel and Disney and the MCU, I don't mean it like in a negative way for kind of anyone. I mean, this is, it's a blow for hiring cheap labor, which should not be a blow to the employees and not a blow to the customers, because Marvel needs to clean up their act a little bit here. Disney needs to clean up their act on their visual effects people. They need to get some better employees and not try to rush 15,000 visual effects artists to crush out a bunch of garbage, because it looks like it. It looks it. So obviously with the writer strike and the actor strike, and now the effects people joining or wanting to join the union, clearly that means changes are coming for Disney and continue to come for Hollywood. So we'll see where this ends up. I'm far from really knowledgeable about the union stuff. I mean, it just sounds like we're over 100 days into this, and any offer given by the studios has been laughed out of the room by the strikers, by the people on strike. So it seems like we're not anywhere near close. Just to kind of get all this stuff out of the way, just because it all is sort of related, and God, we've talked about a lot of this, but it's now way more official. Deadpool 3 no longer on Marvel's current schedule for early 2024, which or Disney's schedule for their upcoming for their investor call. They had all the upcoming releases. Deadpool 4 obviously on that list. But the real story is Echo was also not on that list. And the big question is, after all the talk we heard about that it was terrible and they were going to dump the whole thing at once, are they just going to Batgirl it and just scrap the entire project? Or are they like, we have nothing, so we have to drag out every project we have and push it out as far as possible? So congratulations, Echo. You're the only thing we have in the can, so you're our summer 2024 show.
So you can look forward to Echo and the Marvels.
Yeah. Oh, we got to think about the Marvels here too.
Did you see that Bob Iger interview where he's talking about the Marvel TV shows? I want to say it was maybe from when we're recording this is maybe a month ago. People can find it, but I mean, it wasn't just about that. But his point was that he was making, we're doing too much content. We have people running shows who have no TV experience. And I think, this is me now talking, not him. I think that those shows demonstrate that you have people running them that have no TV experience.
Yep. Yeah, there's there was talk from Bob Iger that basically like everything, and it's probably in my notes or somewhere, everything is getting toned down. Less movies, less TV show, less Star Wars, less of everything, right? And yeah. If I'm Warner, let's give it another year. Let's say 2026 is your target date. Let's have a little breather here, guys. Let's have a little refresh. Don't rush this stuff out, especially with the strike. You're killing the amount of time you have. When we were talking, 2 movies, a couple TV shows, 2-3 TV shows, it's like, okay, it's kind of something on pretty regularly. When there's 4, 5, 6 movies, when you include Sony, when you're talking 7, 8, 9 TV shows a year, what the heck? There's no fucking chance, right? There's no way. And Star Wars is the same. Like, I haven't started Super Invasion. I haven't started Mandalorian, Osaka, or Osaka, what the hell's her name?
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka's almost on. I'm not going to watch that till I watch Mandalorian. But if I haven't started Mandalorian, then I'm off the. I'm just off. So I'm off the schedule. Loki starts. Haven't watched the other one. I'm not going to skip ahead. So yeah. Again. I will mention all of this just to clear all this off my docket here.
You missed a huge story. Is Kraven the Hunter being bumped off the release schedule for this year?
It's on my list. Trust me.
That should be number one. That should be number one.
No, sorry. NoHo Hank is Metamorpho's number one. Everything
Kraven
else
is
not as important. Okay. Aquaman 2 potentially also getting bumped into 2024. Because they're not going to be, Blue Beetle is just getting thrown out there. It comes out this weekend. We'll talk about it next week. I'm seeing it. I'll probably be the only one in the theater. Initial reports are this will be the worst performing DC movie to date. Other than like Catwoman and shit, I'm sure. But any of the current DC projects, reviews, early reviews seem okay. No professional reviews as of this recording, but early reviews seemed okay. But they were really good for Flash, too. Look what happened. So Aquaman 2, right? No actor is going to be able to market it. I don't know that it helps, but Aquaman 2 might be getting pushed back because of all the strikes. Dune 2, one of the other ones that may get moved. Because, again, if they can't promote it, then why put the movie out? And there was also, Kraven. We have waited so long. We have waited so long for Kraven. And now, 2024, we have to wait, finally, to get this perfect Kraven movie that is flawless, that is a literal translation from page to screen, that 100% captures the heart and soul of Kraven the Hunter.
Okay, here's a serious...
Day one for me. Day one for me.
Here's a serious question for you. If these three movies all came out in 2023, I want you to rank them in order of box office from most money made to least, okay? Assume that they all were coming out this year. Kraven the Hunter, The Marvels, Blue Beetle.
The Marvels will make the most. I mean, even if it's terrible, we'll get to. And again, I have the Marvels on this list too. We'll get to that in a second.
What would be your prediction?
I'm going to lump all this movie stuff to beating. The Marvels would make more. I would think Blue Beetle would beat out Kraven, but probably not by much. Kraven could fall into the Venom list of like it's so bad it's good, but Morbius kind of killed that. I think anything that Venom set up, Morbius kind of killed that potential for like a so bad it's good kind of box office, like,
You're forgetting Venom.
Because people know who... Well, Venom 2 did okay, but nowhere near as good as Venom 1, right? And people know who Venom is. I think he's a character that people... Nobody knows who Kraven is. Nobody knows who Morbius is. So those movies just, never had a chance. But I think there's a little bit of chance for the Marvels to do okay. But I think we're going to be a far cry from the $1 billion box office of the first one. And I'll tell you why. Because we still, as of this recording, still the Marvels is planning to come out in November. That might change. I don't know. I can't imagine. But that might change. But in talking about the upcoming movie, the director Nia DaCosta said that this was done. This was an interview done pre the strike. No, it's director. Director doesn't. I was gonna say it must have been done before the strike, but the directors aren't part of this. Right, their thing got solved. I got a quote. I got a quote for you. I got the pull quote of the decade for you. The biggest difference from the other MCU movies to date, talking about the movie, talking about the Marvels, is that it's really wacky and silly. The worlds we go to in this movie are worlds unlike any you've seen in the MCU, bright worlds that you haven't seen before. Huh? hasn't that been every Marvel movie in the last 5 years has been wacky and silly? Like, you know what? Thor or
Guardians.
Shang-Chi or Guardians or like Doctor Strange or, you know, like different levels of wacky and silly, but this is just what Marvel movies are now. So
Loki, the TV show.
Right. If you watch that very first Marvel's trailer that came out, I was like, oh, this looks terrible. This looks like a TV show. I mean, I don't mean a TV show meaning a good TV show. I mean, this looks like a bad TV show. This looks like CG set like Ant-Man, and this looks like it was filmed in, you know,
green screen heaven.
Yeah, it just looks like some generic made for DVD movie. Like, it looked really terrible. They released a trailer recently, and actually we watched Barbie, and I turned to Leanne and I said, oh, this is the boys trailer. This is like the, oh shit, we actually have to make this look serious trailer. Did you see this new trailer that they made?
No.
For the Marvels?
No.
It's some of the same shots. It's way less Kamala Khan, and it's like heavy music and like long like sci-fi shots and like action, and you're like, oh, you guys realize how fucked this movie is. You had to make a fake trailer that doesn't actually show you what the movie really is, right? Because that first trailer, I was like, oh, this looks awful. This looks like what the movie is. It's going to be this wacky and silly, you know, body swap, you know,
it's
Freaky Friday type thing.
It's space trading places.
Yeah, and so they made like this like, we gotta make the serious trailer now. Shit, we gotta make the trailer that shows them a little bit of action and these like out of context science fiction shots that are, you know, not what they seem like they are in the trailer. So they clearly
did they pull a Attack of the Clones trailer like boom, and you see all the different like sets?
I mean, it's there are lots of kind of like what do we use? Beastie Boys, right? They put
that was Star Trek.
What song it is? You know, but the new Marvels trailer too has like a Beastie Boys like remix, like spacey kind of like
Sabotage,
less lyrical. I'm totally. Do you remember, Leah? Do you remember what was it? Sabotage?
No, don't.
Yeah. Intergalactic Planetary. So they use that, but they use like this like kind of like remix version of it, and they're trying to make it all look serious. And I'm just like, oh boy, you guys are fucked. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like Echo, they're gonna Batgirl. They're just gonna dump it. I mean, if it's that bad, and this world of tax write-offs,
if it gives them a decent tax write-off, they'll tank it.
Yeah. If it's really that bad, just pull it. Just at this point, this is the game, right? Just dump it. Don't even bother. And the Marvels, they're just gonna, I assume, just put out to die. You know, again, it could do okay, sure. I mean, yeah, if it's okay, maybe it will do all right. But based on the trailer and based on where people are with the Marvel movies, I just have a real hard time believing that's going to do anything. Blue Beetle looks like it's going to completely tank, and Aquaman. You know,
when was that movie supposed to be out?
Aquaman?
Yeah.
God,
like 2020
2 years ago or something?
Was it 2021?
Wasn't it?
2021
or something? It was a long
time
ago. Yeah, it was a long ass time ago that movie was supposed to be out. I can't remember when it was originally scheduled. And Captain Marvel was supposed to be last year too, right? That got pushed an entire year.
No, I don't think Aquaman was delayed a long time ago because the director got pushed to other projects.
Right. Aquaman got moved significantly. Captain Marvel.
Yeah, but I don't think it ever had a date early. I don't think it was ever that early a date. Are you thinking that originally they announced the Trench movie before that?
Yeah, that never happened.
No, didn't.
No, I thought Aquaman did get moved too. I feel like everything got shifted around.
I don't think they even had a script until like a year and a half ago.
It was originally slated for December of 2022. Then it was moved to March 17th of 2023, and then moved again to December 26th of 2023.
Yeah, because Captain Marvel had the same thing. It was supposed to be out, I think, last year. I think it was supposed to be out last year, then this summer, now this winter. So I think both got shifted a year.
Yeah, year makes sense.
Yeah, so, there's no more DC TV shows coming up, right? Gotham,
Creature Commandos?
What the hell's the show called? Well, that's next year.
Gotham
right?
Knights.
Harley's coming out, isn't it?
Gotham Knights already got axed.
Yeah. I think we have another season of Harley coming.
Harley is halfway through, right? I actually just started watching the new season, so but I like Harley feels like that got picked up again, so I think that's continuing even past this season. Superman and Lois have a half season, and that's it for DC TV shows, right? I'm not missing anything. I think at least one more season of Harley and one more season of Superman and Lois. That's it. Marvel's has Loki, maybe Echo, maybe sometime Echo next year. So Kevin, here's your break. Here's the break you wanted. We're getting definitely one more DC movie. I assume one more Marvel movie. We could be getting Aquaman, but I kind of think that's going to get pushed. And then we're not going to see anything till summer 2024, the earliest at this point. Earliest. I don't know when Deadpool is going to be, but there's no way that's out before the summer. That could move to the end of 2024. Joker is end of 2024, right? So we could have a solid year of no superhero projects, short of a half season of Superman and Lois. And that's even... I could even see them scrapping that, right? Just being like, never mind. I mean, they picked it up, but these days, who even knows? So what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. Is there something else? I think that's it. I think that's everything. There's no other shows coming. So everything else is off the schedule. All these TBD 2023 aren't happening. All the quarter Q1 2024 is not happening.
Did you mention Spider-Verse?
Well, that's out. That came out.
No.
Oh, Spider-Verse got pushed. Yeah.
It got removed, not pushed.
It got not pushed, right? It got completely removed from the schedule. There was no chance in hell that was coming out next year.
With no strike, that wasn't going to come out of that release date.
That's years away at this point. So this is it, Kevin. The glorious time of no comment. That monkey paw unfurled and is now back. And now we can do this correctly.
I activated the first monkey paw and look at the world we got. And now I found a second monkey paw to undo the first one. And you'll see what world we get.
So Marvel's,
I don't know.
I looked it up. July 8th of 2022 was its original release date. And then it got pushed to November of 2022. And then finally pushed to November of this year, which, according to this, which should now be the definitive day as of August 1st.
I have no belief. I mean, there's nothing that sounds like the Marvels would get pushed unless they. It's still in. Is there still trailers? Is still being advertised? I feel like that date's going to actually happen, but God, who knows? In the next, they could think that they're going to be done with the strike by October, and so they'll have a full month and change to do it. But if we start getting end of September and there's no deal in sight, they could push it back to summer of 2024. Maybe. I don't know.
That's right. We'll have plenty of A24 movies in the theaters.
So. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of little indie projects that are going to happen, and we're going to get endless reality shows and game shows and a bunch of that junk. So, I'm
so not looking forward to any of that junk.
Well, the wonderful thing about television and movies is that there's near infinite amount of older awesome material to watch and watch for the first time and rewatch classics. So there's a lot of other options. There's an expression called it's called "you can touch grass." So it is a popular expression among.
But what if you're allergic to grass?
Touch grass. And you can go outside your house
But just imagine you're a theater owner and the box office is finally coming back, and now a trapdoor opens and you get no movies until summer of next year.
Yeah.
No, you'll get small independent films.
You'll get stuff that's already in the can.
Yeah. Well, no, like some studios can record. There's some studios can film.
But I'm talking about things that will get audiences in, not just things that you'll project onto a screen for a homeless person sleeping in the back row and 2 people at the Monday morning matinee.
You're going to get a lot of like old movies back in theaters.
You'll get those Fathom events. Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Why not? Right. I mean, yeah. Hey, you haven't here's the top 10 movies that, everyone should watch once in their lifetime. AMC can do some promo where it's like, we're going to show whatever way Gone with the Wind and Pulp Fiction. And, we're just going to go down this back catalog of old movies and, from the dawn of cinema till the 2000s. Hey, and here's shit that all you kids may have never seen. See it in the big screen.
All I care about is if they throw on the last Hobbit movie, because I never actually got to see that in the theater.
Oh, God.
No, you're not.
Dude, you're not making such a bad situation worse.
You know what? You know what would make a lot of money for movie theaters in Disney? If Disney put the fucking original Star Wars back in theaters. Yeah. The original fucking Star Wars. Maybe make that available. Disney, the real original Star Wars. Come on. What are you doing? Pull that.
That probably doesn't even exist digitally. There's probably
in case of emergency, break glass. Tell George Lucas to shut up. Take a couple more $1 million. We're putting this out.
Just show.
There is a button. The day George Lucas dies, every Star Wars thing that he doesn't want is going to be released by Disney. There's no fucking chance in hell that stuff stays gone forever. Oh, I destroyed every copy. No, you didn't, you lunatic. Like, what are you even talking about? No. There's plenty of copies of Star Wars, or the original kind of Star Wars out there. No. How good would that be? They released the original trilogy unedited in theaters. I'd go in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Anyway,
on that cheery note, what's next?
Anyway, well, there are other animated things coming. There's other movies happening. They're just not in theaters. We are getting both a Watchmen and a Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths animated movie. I assume these are going to be like 2-parters at least, because I don't know how you do either of those in a single.
So it's all Chat GPT, Midjourney, and.
No, because animation and like I am sure some of this stuff was already done, right? And I don't know, direct to DVD animated movies I don't think fall under any of the same categories. Animation seems kind of immune from the strike at least so far. So, yeah, I think we're going to get these will both come out. That's cool. Stuff that people have definitely wanted. I just don't know if how you do that these days, right? Do you do a 2-parter movie? Do you do at least 2-part, right? Has to be
for Watchmen.
Watchmen, they could do the one-off, but. The not in 85 minutes. You can't do Watchmen in 85 minutes. So these movies aren't.
Well, knowing their track record for weird sex stuff in animated movies, they'll probably just go with it.
Yeah. I would love a real accurate 2-part Watchmen animated movie. Sure. Okay, look, whatever. I can't. Sorry, Alan Moore. This is just this is the world we live in. You just have to accept it. But an accurate 2-part Watchmen animated movie, stick close to the animation style. Dave Gibbons, that'd be cool. That'd be neat. All right, Crisis
with or without the pirate stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just you put it in as kind of little interstitials between the chapters. They could finally take my idea of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, except it's a Crisis on the animated Earths. So you have Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, You have the old Fleischer cartoon. You have all the Filmation stuff. You have Teen Titans Go. You have the DC Direct the DC DVD direct DVD animated movie universe. You have all the Lego movies, and that's your Crisis. Your Crisis on animated Earths, right? Oh, come on, Justice League Unlimited, Batman, Superman animated series. That's how you do it. You say it's a very similar story. You just mix all the animated worlds. Now we're talking.
So you end up with just a kaleidoscope of tie-dye color.
That I want to see. Well, let's you get the. This is their Spider-Verse, right? Like you get the Batman, the dark animated stuff mixed with Teen Titans Go. Who doesn't want to see that? It'd be funny. So, and then we can just end the multiverse thing because I'll be done after that. Like I'm out after that. This was my last multiverse I needed to see. DC animated multiverse. We're out after that. Marvel did it with Spider-Verse. They've kind of hit all bunch of their animated series. Done. We're out. No more multiverse. Let's put the whole concept to bed for a couple decades. Like we're multiversed out. So yeah, there'll still be stuff happening. There'll still be a few comic things happening, but TV shows and movies, I don't know. Strike could be over tomorrow, but I just don't think it will. But comic books, those are going to continue.
No comic book industry.
No unions and no unions of comic books to screw up production of comics continuously. So
that's true exploitation
we don't have to worry about that.
Artistic work.
Now, usually, there are these team ups that happen in comic books that are fun. There's crossover. There's multimedia crossover stuff with comics that are pretty fun. One got announced at Comic-Con that we didn't talk about that I definitely am excited for. And that is the Justice League versus Godzilla versus King Kong. Now, fun concept, right? But here's where it gets really fun. There's going to be 2 special variant covers for issue number 1. When you open them up, Yay. One has the Godzilla roar, and one makes the King Kong, scream, right?
Hey, DC's getting into Hallmark cards.
It's like those cards where you open it up and it plays a song or does a thing. As always, with the variant covers, I don't need this stuff a lot, but this is genius. I don't need a bunch of these, but this is great.
How many store exclusive covers are they going to have of this thing?
Oh, God, I don't know. Hopefully, I'm sure they'll have some. But this is a cool idea. That is thinking way outside the box, and I really like this. I love this. I'm going to get a ton of these. I just don't want to see them in 5 years when the battery dies on all the comics and they no longer work.
Oh, but fuck. I'm waiting for the battery acid explosions of these things, and people
it's going to catch them all on fire.
How many, how much battery acid damage does yours have? We're no longer going to be dealing with yellowing pages. We're going to be dealing with how oxidized is your battery input.
Can you CGC one of these? Will the pressure of CGC cause the battery to explode? These are questions that we'll have to deal with later. But for now, is a really fun variant cover. I'm really excited for this. So, Justice League versus Godzilla versus King Kong.
We're going to be opening and closing that thing all day long for you, Ryan.
Yeah, no, we'll have it right at the I'll have them right at the counter for everyone to look at. So that should be really good.
They need to do a Tarzan.
What would be the other Shazam could work, right? Yeah. You open it up, Shazam,
Black Bolt.
Yeah, what? You open it up and you explodes the world. Can only do it once.
It's just a whisper.
There's like a one Black Bolt variant, like it's a 1 in 1,000.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Damian Robin. You open it up, it goes. Tss.
Yeah. But yeah, so I this is a really funny idea. I like this one quite a bit. I like this one a lot.
I can't wait for Disney and Marvel to take it, and you have a Star Wars where you hear a Rancor roar.
See, it's okay. I'll give you a TIE Fighter. I'll give you Darth Vader breathing. Right? that's about as far as I think I'd take that. Again, not maybe a Star Trek one, right? Like the
she's like a teleporter
or something like that. So, I mean, again, there's not many. But I think you get away with a handful of these. I can get away with a handful of these.
Now, what would be cool is if you could reprogram them and put your own sounds in them. Yeah.
Oh, people will do that. People will do that for sure. Also from Comic-Con, they had the 30th anniversary of Death of Superman. Now we are having the 30th anniversary of the Return to Superman with all the original creators, Dan Jurgens, Louis Simonson, Jerry Ordway, and Carl Kessel coming back to work with Dan Jurgens and Brett Breeding for the Return of Superman anniversary coming out end of this year, which is going to focus on Steel Cyborg, Steel Superboy, Cyborg Superman, and the Eradicator. Personal favorite era of my DC love is that Death of Superman stuff. So
you just like the mullet.
Oh, dude, come on, give me Death of Superman era. Like it's so good. That was my peak early comic reading days. Was
that's when you got into comic books heavily. Like they had child labor. Yeah. You were working at the store.
Yeah, can't wait. It was so good. So good. Everyone likes Death of Superman. That's fun stuff. What else they announced? Also announced at Comic-Con, the we didn't talk about was Marvel's attempt to continuously figure out what to do with the Punisher. There's going to be a new Punisher who's not Frank Castle, that doesn't have a Punisher logo. And look, no insult meant to the creative team on this, but this is clearly stuck in that same era of the, late 90s. We're going to kill the Punisher, make him an angel. We don't know what to do with this character, so we're just going to kind of flounder around for a little while, and then cooler heads will prevail, and the real Punisher will be back, and they'll go back to normal. But this is that era now of Disney trying to figure out what to do with this character. So, what it might be a fun little story, but let's be honest, Frank Castle will be back and back in costume, and we'll be back to normal Punisher. They just released an Alex Ross book with the Punisher like not too long ago. Like they've done they just released a facsimile of the first appearance of the Punisher. Like the character's not going anywhere. Like maybe they could pretend for a while, like, oh, we're not gonna let's wait till racial tension and police injustice in America cools down. But they're gonna be waiting a while, but at least they're gonna at least keep using the name for the time being. But yeah, I just can't imagine long term they're gonna Punisher will be back for sure. Of course. Yeah,
he can start his PR. He can start his PR with another tie-in with Archie.
That'd be great. Those were the days, right? The Punisher and Archie crossover, right? And now we can't even have the Punisher in a comic. It just seems so dumb.
It is dumb. It just gets people all riled up.
No, it's just you've let the terrorists win. You've seceded this character to the assholes. Like, why would you do that? Like, why? You're fucking Disney. You could find a way to make this work.
What I find funny about it is Disney will go after a classroom for showing a Disney movie in the middle, in the classroom, or go up to a street performer who is doing a very good job playing the character, so on and so forth. But they won't go up to any MAGA people and say cease and desist. Don't use that. Why are you using that on our product? Why are you using that? Selling it. Like Disney will literally go after the smallest thing ever possible, like a street performer who people love and adore, and there's no issues. They're advocating for them. They're making it out there, but they won't go after people that are willingly taking that and exploiting that logo.
Yeah, they are not going to sue paramilitary local police departments. They're just not going to, right? So, I mean, it sucks. It's stupid. Of course, they should 1000%, but they're not going to, right? Look, if someone has it on their bag or their arm or a decal. I mean, they can't do anything, right? But when it's like actively being used by like organizations, like I don't see how. Like it's crazy to me. There were these 2 fan films that just came out. There was a Superman one and a Spider-Man one that came out, and they're supposed to both be like in the same like connected universe, and they had like screenings of these things you could like attend. I'm like, how the fuck is Disney and Warner not suing these people? Like, I don't get it. Is it just like it's bizarre what battles do they pick and what battles do they don't?
They sent me a cease and desist.
Yeah. Oh, for Etsy stuff. Yeah. It's very odd when and why they do it. Like, I don't like. There is a difference between you want to make a fan film. You want to do your own art and sell it on your own, your own private commissions and stuff like that. That's fine, right? But when you were like publicly crowdfunding a fan film and then selling tickets to see it, this feels like you've crossed a line here. If you are a military organization using a corporate logo, that is crossing a line. So I don't get why they.
I believe that the skull is not trademarked.
That Punisher, I mean, it is the fucking logo.
Yeah,
right?
but
That's
I don't think Marvel
logo.
ever trademarked it.
I don't know.
I think that was I heard Jerry Conway talking about this, about how the character's been recycled, and I believe he mentioned something about that kind of slipped through the cracks. Now I don't know if they've gone back and retroactively fix it. But at the time, originally, it was never trademarked because it wasn't thought to be. That's why they put that. The Batman symbol that's trademarked is the one with the yellow circle around. Because otherwise, it's just a drawing of a silhouette of a bat. So because the skull is so kind of generic, you think of it as the Punisher. Comic book fans think of it as the Punisher. But if somebody who didn't read comics saw it, you wouldn't go, oh, that must be a superhero.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I mean, they release T-shirts and things with that logo on it and merch, and those logos. I mean, you can't put that out and just be like, "Well, it's just out." No, I mean, those have to have the proper trademark and copyrights and everything when you create those products. So, I would assume they have some trademark to that logo with associated to that name or that character. But either way, yeah, they're not going to go sue a bunch of local police departments, but. It's ridiculous to me that they don't use that logo. It's just the stupidest thing. Continuing on with comics, not announced. This was pointed out over Bleeding Cool, and obviously we'll continue to monitor this in the upcoming catalog, which will come out. I believe a lot of the information should come out next week in the catalog. Is that for the November solicitations. And that is that a not insignificant number of Marvel comics are now $4.99 for 32-page comic books. That includes Amazing Spider-Man, 35 and 36, Avengers 6, Immortal Thor 3, Scarlet Witch 9, Star Wars Dark Droids. I think it's all the Star Wars stuff. So Star Wars, Vader, Bounty Hunters, Dr. Aphra, Obi-Wan. Let's see. I think there was some other here. Captain America 2 and Daredevil 2 are also $4.99. So there's I have been warning you for years. My math put it at 2020. It didn't happen, I think, because of the pandemic. But based on previous price increases of how often they happened, I was pegging 2020 for the year. Most comics go to $4.99. Usually Marvel. When the deeper indies start to do it, Marvel is soon behind. Some of the real small press indie guys have been $4.99 now for a little while. Marvel's had a lot of $4.99 and $5.99 books, but they've been larger size. They are getting you used to that price point. This is how this happens every time. We now have a number of books at $4.99 coming up with a new catalog. I don't think they will make the entire jump in like 1 month or 2 months. So look for this to slowly happen, to slowly roll out over the course of, whatever, 6 months or whatever. I can't remember. I looked at it. I can't remember what the last book Marvel moved. It was something when they went from $2.99 to $3.99. It was something like kind of random. A couple books stuck at the lower price for a while, but then eventually made that jump. So we'll see if this is more than just a 1 month fluke. We'll know in the next week or two if Marvel has now moved the majority of their line to $4.99. And what I've said every time this happens is people complained when they went from 10 cents to 12 cents, from 12 cents to 15 cents, from 15 cents to 20 cents, and so on and so forth. And here we are, $3.99 to $4.99. And look, I understand it's not cheap. And gas isn't cheap and Starbucks isn't cheap. These prices all kind of go up in similar times and similar values, right? It's similar reasoning. Right? It's cheap. It's low cost. It's there's transportation issues there. It's mass product, right? These things happen. Pokemon cards, Magic cards have all increased in price in recent years, right? All these things that are around this price, $5 is quote unquote nothing, right? But when $5 is applied to 20 books a week, it's a lot. So read your favorites, support the indies if you can, if you want. We'll see more people test drive. We'll see more number ones sell. Less other ones will sell. People will complain, but the books will sell. Is $5 the breaking point? Well, $4 wasn't, and $3 wasn't, and $2 wasn't, and $1.50 wasn't, and $1 wasn't, and 75 cents wasn't, and 60 cents wasn't. So, I don't know. Is there a breaking point? I don't know. I have no clue. But I was. Think of it this way: you got a few years of cheaper comics than I think you would have. I really had 2020 pegged. The year was going to happen.
You got more than that. There was a question about this on the Facebook group. I think when you were in Japan, Ryan. But for those who aren't in there who are listening, you got way more than a few years of cheaper comics. You got decades of artificially low comic book prices because every other periodical was going. This is great radio. I'm making a graph with my hand, was going like this, and comic prices were going in a straight line. And so when comics go from 10 cents to 12 to 15 to 20 to 25 to 35, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's a minuscule jump. And so on a newsstand, in a supermarket, on a spinner rack at a 7-Eleven, whatever it is, pick your marketplace. If you are a dealer at one of those places and you have limited spinner rack space, limited shelf space, and you sell an issue of TV Guide or Playboy or Newsweek or Car and Driver, and you make a 75-cent profit off one of those magazines because of its cover price, and you sell a comic book and you make a 5-cent profit because of its artificially low cover price, the industry cut its own throat by keeping those prices down like a children's product. When you're considering your space in a sales situation, it's like, I don't really have room for comics. It's not worth the physical real estate to put a spinner rack in here. I don't make enough money. And I've got boxes of unsold comics that I've got to tear the covers off of. And this is just a loser's game for a newsstand I'm talking about, not for a comic book store. So comics right now really should be $4.99 naturally. So when people scream and say, and yeah, it is a lot of money. If you buy 10 comics a week, or if you buy 10 comics a month, that's a big chunk of your entertainment money for some people.
Yeah.
But as far as people going, oh, they're so overpriced, it's outrageous. This is probably the natural price they should have been. It was just held down for so long, artificially held down, that now when it's kind of growing to its natural height, you scream that it's too much when it should have never been as low as it was for as long as it was.
Yeah, I think the final issue of Heavy Metal they published was like $13.99 or something like that, and the DC Black Label books with slightly less content but the same size are $6.99. Right? I see. I'm assuming that's Toby on the line. He's been nice and quiet, but I know Toby and Lane, you two are collectors of a lot more of the visual styles. I know you guys are buying those fan magazines occasionally. What are those running these days? If you pick up some TV Guide special magazine presentation at Walgreens, what are they now, like $18 or something?
I don't know. That's Toby. I don't buy those. I buy art books, not the magazines as much.
I want to say $5.99, maybe.
No.
Yeah.
Those. Is it all reprinted stuff?
Are you talking about those big commemorative magazines that are designed to kind of sit on the shelf for 6 months?
Yeah.
I don't.
Those are not $5.99, are they? No way.
Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Then,
whenever you go, so now most of the things on the newsstand are these like Kevin said, these sort of commemorative, where they have like the high gloss cover. They're thicker.
They're like $12.99.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I haven't bought one of those in I don't know how many years.
Feels like something that's like totally up your alley.
No. Unless they're doing a Jordan one, but even then, like it's rare.
Maybe back in the day.
Yeah, it's rare these days though.
Yeah.
There was one for Barbie. My daughter wanted.
Yeah, they do.
And I saw the price point and I said,
it has to be really special and have a really cool cover. Otherwise, it's a no-go. It's usually the cover.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like, right. And it's like, I'm sure what was it, like $15 or something?
It was $14.99. I was like,
sure.
nope.
But I want to say I used to collect the Slam magazines, and they were like, from $3.99 to $5.99, and I want to say they're like $8.99. I wouldn't be surprised if they're $9.99 now. Would not be surprised.
Yeah.
If they're over $10, I'd be like, holy shit. But it's quite possible that they are. I haven't seen one on the newsstands in forever, though. I think they were direct order only now, like if you subscribe. But they might not even be in print anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not in print anymore either. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we talked about this on a previous, and I don't think I have it on my notes here. But did we talk about this? Like, heavy metal's basically done. Like.
Yeah,
there was
at the end of an episode you saw this news story. So you talked about it. We did. Okay, you talked about it for like 2 minutes.
Yeah. So that there is not money in this stuff, right? And with comics, when we talked about this during when we came back from our break, when I was talking about the comics broke me stuff, right? This is a major part of that. It's price in units, and look, if you've got a better idea. I mean, this came up again in conversation I had with someone on Twitter, and they're like, "Well, those can't be the only options." And I'm like, "Well, I don't. If you've got a better suggestion, I like fix the industry. I'm all ears. I just don't. I have no clue. Like, if someone's got a better idea, tell me. Let's do it, because I got no idea what else you do. I think those are the only two ways to do it. So, yeah. $4.99 comics, that's going to be a thing, and you got to make the decisions. But your gas is $5 a gallon now. Your Starbucks is $5. This is just the world, and everyone's going to choose what they're spending their money on, and what happens usually in this situation is people buy Batman and Spider-Man, right? That's usually how this goes. So,
So the companies try to push more Batman and Spider-Man titles, and then they overinflate the market, and everyone gets all pissed off, and then those numbers drop even further. Then they release a new number one to boost up sales again, and then a whole bunch of shitty variant covers come out, and it's over and over. And then they release the Craven Roar cover for Amazing Spider-Man number 1, volume 560 or some shit. One Craven will roar like a lion. The other he'll roar like a tiger. The other he roars like I don't know.
Well, I hate to come off like 24-hour news channels and just talk about a bunch of bad news, but I have a bunch of bad news from the last couple of weeks, like various levels of bad news. One of them was, if you haven't heard anything about Donny Cates in the last years, because he was in a massive car accident and basically lost 6 months of his life. A terrifying account from him. He I guess was at Comic-Con, but kind of finally broke the news that he was in a massive car accident and literally had like memory loss and was in recovery for months and months. So I don't know
that's what happened to Redneck.
To come back to doing. Yeah, I don't know what his plan.
He forgot the rest of the story. Vanish. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. But.
No. He made the same joke. So he made the same joke about going back and reading his own comics and trying to figure out what happened.
Right.
So yeah, he I mean, that's terrifying. It's terrible. There's pictures of him like in the hospital. Yeah, it's super scary. You he was such a big name. You don't know what this means for him long term, right? If and when he can come back to writing on any sort of regular basis. So I haven't seen any updates on this in the last week or two, week and a half. So I don't know if he's come out and made any more comments. But
that last book he put out is ironic. Then
which one?
Vanish.
Because Vanish and Crossover have not. They basically had the issues they had out, and they're on hiatus at this point now. I think Ryan Stegman had kind of he maybe co-wrote or wrote the last issue or two of Vanish. Crossover just has sort of vanished as well, no pun intended.
Redneck died. That one was already delayed.
They just canceled the last couple issues. Yeah, so really, 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 really unfortunate. But hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's okay long term. IDW, who we've talked about a few times because they were having significant problems with their parent company and layoffs and losing a bunch of stuff. It appears they have canceled seemingly the vast majority of their creator-owned comics. Unclear about the future of Scott Snyder and G. Willow Wilson's titles there. As of now, they're still being solicited and coming out, but a number of projects in the works that had not been solicited have been canceled. So
is that
they may be wrapping up this. Yeah, that's G. Willow Wilson's book in the Dark Spaces, the Scott Snyder, right? They just solicited
that Husk book was really good. That first issue was really solid.
In the pile. Her fantasy saga. But yeah, no clue. IDW's obviously going through a ton of shit. No clue what that means for the future of non-licensed projects at IDW. I would guess very little. We'll find out. But I would think IDW will stick with easy money licensed projects for the future and another comic company ruined by venture capitalists. Speaking of venture capitalists, Image Comics made tons of news when it announced it was leaving Diamond to be distributed by Lunar. Well, the other shoe dropped this past week, and Image Comics has now moved their book distribution away from Diamond Book Distribution to Simon & Schuster, who shortly then after was bought by a venture capitalist company, the same venture capitalist company that destroyed Toys R Us and other formerly profitable companies in recent years. So a venture capitalist now owns one of the largest publishing houses in America. So look for the eventual
fall of Mr. Simon & Schuster's.
Yep. The destruction of Simon and Schuster under the hands of wonderful venture capitalists and yep. So Viz Media, Boom Studios, Mad Cave, and Image are now all exclusive to Simon & Schuster for their primary book distribution deals and other small ones, which is funny because smaller companies have left Simon & Schuster and gone back to Diamond. Circle of life. So, this is one of those things that does not immediately affect the readers, the people listening to this podcast. But as a comic store, it also doesn't really affect me as we don't use book distribution. We use comic book distribution. We can have an account with Simon & Schuster, but we're not part of the book part. We're not the book part of it, right? So we could get stuff from them. But we use the comic distribution through Penguin Random House and Lunar and Diamond. So it's a little bit different. There should be no change to the way we get Image Comics. But if Simon & Schuster goes, there goes Amazon. There goes Image's deal with Amazon, with Barnes & Noble, with independent booksellers. So clearly you want Image to have the largest reach as possible into the book market. And, Simon & Schuster not going anywhere tomorrow, but if the way traditional venture capitalist projects go, they will suck every penny out of this over the course of the next 5 to 8 years, and then it will die with a couple years after. So look for another decade of Simon & Schuster be around, and hopefully these guys all get out before the company completely collapses. Because that's what happens.
We can't have nice things.
Nope. And finally, we've done a lot of big hits, Kevin. I told you we're going to burn through these pretty quick. We can open this up to questions from everyone else. If you want any more clarifications, we can hear all about Toby's Hawaiian adventure. But I will wrap up with the final story, which could be one of, if not the biggest comic news stories of this year, only because of what this means for recent changes at Marvel Comics. Tom Brevoort, 25-year editor of the Avengers comic line, has moved to be the line editor for the X-Men.
Is going to be moving.
He is. There is still numerous projects that are in works that will be released as is. But Brevoort will move from the Avengers to the X-Men. Now, this might not sound, as an editor, what's the big deal? There's been a lot of changes at the top at Marvel, where Marvel works within Disney, how Marvel Comics is lining up with the MCU, what of that has happened under Brevoort, how the X-Men are so off from what you would call a traditional X-Men run, what Marvel and Disney are going, what the MCU and Disney Studios are going to do with the X-Men going forward, and does this now meet in alignment with the comics? Like, there's a lot of what does this mean for Dan Buckley or any of the other top people at Marvel, Brevoort moving, what happens to the X-Men line editor? Like, there's a lot of big stuff here, which in a year and a half, you could see an extremely different Marvel Comics. This feels like kind of the second, Quesada's gone, Brevoort moves, someone, who else? Wasn't there someone? Right, Marvel is now fully integrated with Disney. They are no longer, like, this was 6 months ago or whatever, right? They're no longer like a separate entity. They've been officially absorbed into Disney proper. So, like, this is big stuff. Don't throw this under the rug as like a little story. This is a massive change to the back end of one of the. He's got to be the longest line editor current in comics, right? I mean, who else would be close? No one, right? There's no one. So, for good or bad or whatever you think about the Avengers, whether you like the books or not, the success of the MCU lies on the back of New Avengers and Brevoort's work there, and the transition into the Marvel, what would become the Marvel Universe, and so much of that was lined up with the work he did. So, again, who knows what happens in the next 18 months?
He kills gold balls.
Well, then he's my hero. So,
because
he's going to bring penance back.
What was that, Alan?
Say he's going to bring penance back.
Yeah. God, Thunderbolts, that fall into the Avengers line. Maybe we'll finally be free. So yeah, that's a big story. Yep.
Because Miss Marvel was dead for how long?
I mean, she's already back. She came
2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, technically, I think a month, but like, it was announced a week after. She's back in Hellfire Gala, like in the opening of the book, and that's like it's a nothing story. Like, the whole Miss Marvel thing was so stupid. Like, so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what their plan is. If the idea here is to line them up with the MCU, if they want to, go back to, I assume go back to basics. I assume the Hickman era is dead and buried in 6 months. So
if they're lining it up with the cinematic universe, then Deadpool is now the leader of X-Men, and we're all just puppets in his little charade game.
Yeah.
Ryan, are you current on X-Men?
I mean, no, we're close. I know some stuff going on, but I am so far behind. I'm telling you, COVID did such a number on my reading, and I am still trying to catch up on stuff. So I've completely abandoned any chance of being current on, especially Marvel stuff. And nowhere close. I'm like, cool. I'll read a run. It's over. Nice. I'll read the entire series now that it's done. Sweet. And I'll just kind of do that forever, I guess, because I'll never be current again. I can't. Maybe I'll check out Gods. But dude, shit! Did you see that book's $10? So the Jonathan Hickman new.
Like, what are the gods?
Whatever
who are
book
the gods?
it's this whole new thing. It's not like any existing characters. It's like a whole new line of books that he's going to be working on. I don't know what the heck the deal is long term, but we'll see. The first issue's $10. Well, and yeah, look, it's a larger sized book, but this isn't like a one-off like special. This is like issue number 1, $9.99. Holy shit!
Ultimate Invasion was like
I don't know. That's the way you get people. I know. I don't know if that's, but Ultimate people know, and people know Hickman, but it's not Hickman's writing Spider-Man in this $10.
They expect to pay a lot of money for a bunch of white pages with designs on them.
Yeah. I don't know what the deal with that book is. It's
Ultimate Invasion is not an invasion of anything.
Well, no, because they're doing this update. They're bringing the Ultimate Universe back, and then there's this whole other thing Hickman's doing, and I'm like, where does this? Like, why are you doing this now? Like, what's the deal with this? Like, I guess it's better than another random 5-issue miniseries about fucking Gold Goblin, but like, I like. Yeah, I don't know what the deal with. So maybe I'll read Gods #1 and just be like, okay, that's the thing, and then read the whole series in 8 years when I catch up. But yeah, I don't know.
Speculator's going to jump all over it because it's for all the first appearances, right?
Yeah, but then they're going to make them. You know what? They're going to fuck it up too. They're going to make their first appearance in that fucking Timeless book or some nonsense.
Of course,
you know what?
They're not going to say that until it's out. And they're going to sit back and cash in on the $10 a book.
Yeah, they're gonna do something stupid, you know. Yeah. They'll do something.
Hey, store exclusive covers. I wonder how many stores are gonna tank because of God's store exclusive cover.
No,
because how much would that book have to be? $25, $30?
Oh, at least. I mean, it's Hickman, so there will be an audience for it, but it does feel like a weird time at Marvel to launch a whole new... Like, this is the time where you take Hickman and you're like, look, we need a huge hit and some stability here. Can we put you back on Avengers, or can we put you on some, like, like, Marvel Universe book that's got Spider-Man front and center? Gods? Really? Okay. Like...
The Watcher's back.
I have no clue. It's so random. We'll find out. I mean, this is totally interesting.
Maybe this is his cosmic Illuminati. So he's gathering like the Watcher and all the cosmic guys together.
No. But yeah, it just seems odd. Anyway. That's the last month of comic book news.
Here's one small news item. This doesn't even count really as news, okay? And this will appeal to a very niche slice of the listening audience to this show, of which I am a giant piece of this slice.
So DC announced Metamorpho is going to be in Superman Legacy, played by NoHo Hank, right? That's
it. Did you already mention this?
Story. I did, yeah.
That felt like 4 hours ago. At San Diego, I was talking to Jose Villarrubia, who did that amazing Absolute Swamp Thing, the Bernie Wrightson one, where he modernized the original colors so they look exactly like the original colors. And it's just a fantastic, great book. He is in conversations right now to do that with the Neil Adams Batman. As in all of the Neil Adams Batman. So he said he's in conversations. He didn't say it's like in production. They're in conversations to essentially do those Neil Adams books, but as kind of absolute edition, looking like they originally looked.
Can you hear
the angels singing? I heard them.
The birds are chirping. The angels from above. No,
as I stood there and he was telling me this, it was the scene from Anchorman where she goes, "Mr. Burgundy, you have a massive erection right now."
The sky is opening. The clouds have parted. So
can this only be done because we've lost Neil?
I didn't get into the weeds on that.
Sorry.
Like, the day George Lucas dies, Disney will be able to probably do a lot of stuff. No, Brock, I 100% said this on the podcast. If there is any sort of silver lining, is that we will be able to get some of that original stuff back, unless there is some completely weirdo forever contract that prevents the original versions from ever happening for the Neil Adams work at DC.
It was more of a handshake agreement, not a contract.
I respect creators for wanting to do this stuff. I also think they are too close to their own projects and don't understand what this stuff means to the rest of the world when it leaves their hands, when they've given birth to this thing and it goes out and you kind of can't control it. I mean, talk about the Punisher, right? I'm not saying abandon that original stuff, but there's ways that you can work with it, right? There's things you can still do. To see people, and I mean, Brian Boland and Killing Joke, that recoloring is just not very good. Like, it's objectively not very good. The Frank Miller recoloring is objectively not good. Like, he may like it, but the world has dismissed it, which is unfortunate that it just didn't. It's just not good. So I never expect DC to go back and put a ton of time into fixing the coloring on Golden Age Superman Omnibus Volume 7. The audience for that is literally me on this podcast and no other normal human being, right? Because how many people will really buy that? Neil Adams Batman and The Killing Joke should be absolute perennial sellers, in print forever in every available format, will be bestsellers to well after we are gone. All right, these are some of the greatest Batman stories ever told. Okay, look, you can argue. I won't say greatest. Let's say some of the most famous Batman stories ever told. People have turned on Killing Joke, whatever. It's still one of our bestsellers.
Is the only place to get the original Killing Joke the Absolute or the comic book?
I believe the Absolute has both versions,
does.
Right?
But, you find the back issue of the original.
Yeah, or the original.
Well, no, didn't some of the earlier deluxe editions weren't recolored?
No. It was recolored when they put it into like a graphic novel, basically, because it never was before. It wasn't available in any regular format. I don't believe there was ever a printing of that in like the bookshelf graphic novel form because it has additional stuff that they put in later. I could be wrong. There could be one printing of it that did, but as far as I know, it was always that the trades have always been recolored.
Well, I can check my
the original obviously was the original coloring. You could tell, does Batman have a gold circle around his
give me a second.
bat symbol or not? If it has the gold symbol, original coloring. If it does not, it's the new coloring. Yep. That's the easiest way to tell.
But anyway, so like I said, it's not like on the production line right now. But the fact that he said that and went into kind of detail that I'm not really going to get into here on the show, but went into enough detail that it is not just hey, that would be fun someday. There are conversations further than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one has been recolored. Got it.
Yeah, so Batman does not have the gold.
No, it's just gray with the black
gold symbol, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That's the recolored version. Yep. The original was done. I mean, the original was done when that was Batman's costume. All right, when he had the gold logo. Right. I mean, that's when that was done. So, that's the best news of this podcast. Come on, let's end on a high note.
I thought I should save something good for the end.
Good. Finally, good news. Yeah, forget all the rest of the crap. Who cares if they throw Echo in the trash? Let's get the real Neil Adams Batman back in print. You kidding me? Come on, so good. So good.
And the weird thing is that Green Lantern, Green Arrow, after all this time, kind of escaped his knife. Like, looks fairly, not quite exactly the same, but looks fairly close to the original. But Deadman and Batman were like, the Butcher was let loose on those things. And it's just like, God.
Just terrible. And Deadman has never been reprinted.
Right? It was printed in the Baxter issues in the 80s.
And that was even recolored.
That was altered.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. So Detective Deadman has never, except for those original issues in the 60s, have never seen the original coloring.
Yep. And my argument would be the same with The Killing Joke. Put out a book that has both in it. If you really feel compelled that the world needs to see the recoloring, just put out both.
Yeah, if you want to put out a volume of the original printing Neil Adams Batman Omnibus and the Neil Adams director's cut edition with all his coloring, awesome, do it. I'll tell you what sales will be on that second version, but if you feel you need to have that thing available, go for it. I mean, he put work into it. I'm not going to say take it away, but no, you got to get that original back in print. You have to. It's just embarrassing the other way. But yeah, look, I've said I would love DC to release Shazam, Captain Marvel omnibuses. But the amount of work to do that would be so unreal because there's so much of that. I don't expect anything better than scan the singles and touch up the page a little bit and go on your way, right? I don't expect a lot out of that. I don't expect a lot out of the, 12th Batman Golden Age omnibus. There is a limited audience to that.
Oh, just wait. We're just going to get AI recoloring for everything.
Yeah, dude, seriously. That is fine. If it is like you can scan in, that is a point where I have no problem with AI. If you could scan in a page and it can go in and fill in accurately like any cuts, in the page and like whiten up the borders and everything like that, as long as it doesn't do anything to the art, like I have no problem with that at all. At all. That's exactly the type of thing AI should be used for. It's not creating anything new. It's trying to fix a problem. I'm fine with that. I don't think anyone would care about that. And it's not like, who are they? It's not a recoloring. They're not paying people. I mean, the people that come in and do those omnibuses, that's shit work. I don't think they're not doing that. It's not a long-term project for these guys. They're just hashing this thing out. So I'd have no problem with that. I don't know. Maybe someone in the coloring department would, but I think that's exactly the type of thing to clean up fucked up scans. I think that's exactly what you use it for. All right. Toby, you've been pretty quiet in this podcast, but I want to check in on you. If you're there, if you're still awake. Are you okay?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm not doing a whole lot of sleeping. I'm doing a whole lot of trekking and hiking and walking and having blisters on my feet.
You are not near the fires, correct?
No.
For the audience.
No.
Okay.
I was in Kauai for 4 days, and then I was in. I've been on Oahu for the last 4 days in Waikiki, and now I just moved to the North Shore, and we'll be here for 3 more days.
Have you guys had is it smoke coming in, or any problems, or is it all?
No, man.
Okay.
I mean, the islands are enough far apart, and there's a lot of winds. The heart goes out to all the people in Maui, and all the best to them, and hopefully, people can help and donate and so on. There's a lot of donation drop-offs and stuff. We drove by one where they were actually organizing, donation drop-offs and stuff for Maui, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But no, I'm personally not affected, but, obviously there's people that need help, and my heart goes to them.
Yeah, because you flew in, right before the fire started, right?
Yeah, literally. It's not my fault, I promise. Yeah. I didn't make the plane go down, and no lost time warps and jumps, But yeah, But yeah, no, I've been enjoying my time on the islands as I usually do, and quite love it here. Maybe I don't come back, but that's what I say every time, and then anyways. So.
What do you mean in Japan?
Huh?
You love that island life.
Oh man, Japan too. There's a big Japanese culture here. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Speaking of that, I went to they have that Japanese supermarket Don Quixote over here. Mm-hmm. That's like traveling. Like I felt like I jumped in some kind of a warp machine or a teleporter machine, and I thought, man, I'm pretty much in Japan right now, man. This is crazy. It's like a Japanese like supermarket store that has a little bit of everything, kind of like a Target.
Yeah. Super jammed packed in, and jam
packed with a bunch of cool random stuff and like aisles and aisles of Gundam like model kits. Yeah, it was super bizarre, man. It was cool. I really enjoyed it. Nerd wise, like for this podcast, I went to a used bookstore called Book Off. Mm-hmm. Which is, I guess, owned by Kinokuniya. And I guess we have a couple in LA. We don't have. I don't think we have them in the South Bay or in the.
No, there's none up here.
Yeah. But man, I didn't. I came here truly for vacation, which I usually only take time off in conjunction with like a convention or some other plan or has some other agendas. Like I usually never do just vacation. This is the first time I'm doing just vacation. And I was really, really, really surprised that I was doing some retro game hunting here, which I went to that Book Off, and they had like basically a whole entire bookshelf full of like these little drawers that you take out. They had like a few games behind glass, but they had like these drawers that you take out for like clearance ones. And I was like, oh shit, I'm in big trouble here, because they had like a shit ton of old Famicom games, which is NES games. That's they have like half of it was like Famicom games, and the other half was like Super Famicom games, like the Super Nintendo games. And I was like, they were all on clearance, and I was like, shoots, I'm going through all of them, aren't I? So basically, I got a nice little handful from them. That was really cool. Got some, actually a couple of them that I've been looking for a long time. So it's been a random nerd find. So yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of Japanese stuff in
there is. There's a whole I almost don't want to share in this podcast because I almost want to just keep these spots for myself, right? This other one was actually it's kind of funny. I watched on YouTube. I follow this guy named Metal Jesus, who is he talks a lot. I think he's from Seattle. He talks about a lot of retro gaming and. Well, for me, it's not retro gaming. I just never moved on from it. But like, the Super Nintendo and, the 8-bit era right before PlayStation. And he basically mentioned a guy at the Aloha swap meet over by the Aloha station. What's it called? Not the station, the friggin' bowl. Right, the little swap meet area. So I watched this YouTube video of him where people told him he needed to go check out, Retromax at the swap meet. So, when my friends decided to go there, I'm like, yeah, I'll go, because I had never been. I wanted to check it out. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, I think this is the one where I watched a YouTube video for where this random dude has like this, retro gaming selection at the swap meet. And I did find him, and he's actually super cool. So we had a good conversation. I bought actually one of the rare Super Famicom games from him and a couple of Game Boy games. So that was totally random. Again, didn't think I was retro game hunting here, but, randomly walked into it. Yeah.
That's a great thing about those little flea markets and all the random stuff, because you never know what the hell you're going to find.
That is true.
We had a guy come in the shop the other day. They've been coming in on and off for a few months, and they buy some bags and boards and boxes. And they said, yeah, they usually sell at the San Jose Flea Market, but they recently got a lot of comics, and they've been going through a bunch of old stuff, and they buy from storage units and storage lockers and stuff. And they started bringing in some of the books, and I'm like, oh, you have like real books? Like, oh, these are expensive. Oh shit, like that's awesome. Well, let me know if you want to. If you don't sell them at the flea market, bring them here. I'm sure I could buy them. Nice. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to him, the guy named Max, and he says he's basically the main guy in town now. Like everybody knows him, everybody goes to him, and he goes, the other guys kind of close shop, so he's kind of the only one. Book Off is kind of like a used bookstore that is more into books, but they just happen to have a really, really good collection of retro games. So, and also action figures and mangas, and actually a really good selection of American comics too. It was like the space wasn't big, but it was just really cool looking through it and walking through it. So again, not the plan to look for comics or retro games or figures for but yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, those ones in Japan are always like weird, like 6-story buildings, and there's like tons of shit.
Dude, those are so phenomenal, and I'm scared to go back to Japan because I still have a list I want to go through. But I'm a patient guy. I have prices in my mind that I don't want to break, so I'm a patient dude. So yeah, we're looking forward to do those trips again.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, wonderful podcast. Thank you all very, very much. Unless we have anything else, go ahead and wrap up now. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Any other stories? I think we're good. I think we got through everything. Yeah, bunch of random stuff. That's fun. Blue Beetle is out this week. I know I've said in previous episodes, I have no intention of really going back to full movie episodes with the schedule of people watching stuff. And at this point, the lack of product and quality, it's not worth it. I have no plan to talk for 2.5 hours about Blue Beetle, but I'm sure we will mention it. I will want to talk about it on the next podcast, so look for that. Might have an interview coming up soon too. We'll find out about that in the next day or two. So that might preempt our Blue Beetle talk, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. So unless there's anything else, we're going to go ahead and wrap up.
Well, Ryan, you'll like this. You'll like this that I'm traveling with a bunch of foodies, and that's not my thing. I'll proclaim it right now. I'm not a foodie person at all.
Yes.
But fuck, I've been eating some good ass food, man. So if you ever come back here, man, I got a list for you, man, because I'm like, holy shit. I'm not a food person, but holy shit. I'm like,
see, this is why, even though Leanne claims she wants me to look up food, I usually don't really care. And I know she will find the right places to go, and she cares way more than I do.
Is that why you look at the entire
Yes, because it was all food related. So I just let Leanne plan the food places, and it's all really good. Because if I plan it, it's going to be garbage. Because we'll go to the random place.
I'm a huge fan of the puka dog / hula dog, so I had like 3 or 4 of those on this trip. But there was a vegan ramen at the Mitsuya. Like inside Mitsuya, they had like a little ramen place. I think it was called Taiko Ramen or something. That vegan ramen, I was like, God damn. I was like, before I left town, I had to make sure I go back to him one more time. Then on the way to North Shore, we stopped by this one place. Oh, Jesus, I need to look it up what it was. But I have avocado noodles. And I was like kind of a little devious about, how good they could be. And they were like, oh, no, they're top 100 on Yelp and stuff. I'm like, all right, that doesn't, again, that's not my world. So I'm like, that doesn't mean much to me. I had one bite of those avocado noodles, man. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, they were not cheap because I was even after paying. I'm like, man, this shit, it was not cheap. But I was like, man, that was fucking worth it. In fact, I want to go back for more.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to break out and,
Yeah, it's a whole new world, man. It's not my scene usually. Usually I go to a Mai Tai bar and drink myself silly, but man, this is a whole new world.
You could do that too. Well, thank you to all our Patreon backers, including The Lowdown with Luke and Derek on Spotify and YouTube, Joe Duff, Kelsey May, Craig Anderson at the Executive Evolution Podcast, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, and Talon Bray. Thank you all for your continued support. Check out comicconspiracypodcast.com and Apple Podcasts for all our previous episodes. You can go to patreon.com/comicconspiracy to kick us a couple bucks. Comicsconspiracy.biz. There was a couple problems with Comic Hub. There was some downtime with the host. So if you've had issues in the last 24 hours or so, should be back up. But there was a couple problems, but I think we're good now. Comicsconspiracy.biz, though, has all our wonderful comics in stock, and we are adding more stuff every week, so check that out. Conspiratorbrock.com is Brock's videos and pull lists and unboxings and
whenever I get a chance,
and everything else. Yeah, whatever else you got going on. Charlie's podcast, Wanders in the Fourth Dimension, talking all about Doctor Who. We'll make sure Charlie gets back on here someday. Kevin's weekly interview series called Between the Panels is at fanbasepress.com. And my wife, Leanne, is over at leannehill.com. And you can find her art at etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. We're on Twitter. We're on Blue Sky. some variation of Ryan Higgins and Brock Sager and Toby XI. Just Toby XI, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And Charlie's just Insanity and Chaos.
He's on Blue Sky too?
No, just on Twitter as far as I know, but I don't think he uses any of that anymore. Kevin, is that Kevin Sharp? You're on both? Are you that Kevin Sharp on Blue Sky too? Yep. Comics Con Store just on Twitter. But go say hello to us if you're on the social media. You have questions?
Is Blue Sky in chronological order?
It sure is.
It is?
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's no what's hot feed or anything like that. Just chronological.
I'll be honest with you, I find it a little bit clunky, and I wish the UI was a little bit nicer, but...
Yeah, no, it's a little, I'd say there's, especially in the phone, it's a little, I have to click a few times.
It's very sensitive.
Stuff's a little off on the phone. The browser's fine, but it's a little funky on the phone. Whatever.
So what do you do, Ryan Higgins? I mean, you're still a master Twitterer or Twitter Xer. Yeah. And then you're also a Blue Skyer.
Yeah.
Do you just copy paste the message into both apps? What do you do?
Occasionally, but not often. I try to thread over here, reply to something, post here. I will occasionally post the same thing at both places, but not too often. Occasionally, it just depends.
You don't bother with Threads, right? You're just doing Blue Sky and X.
Twitter. Yeah. Nobody's bothering with Threads based on recent numbers. So, So. Yeah.
It is kind of nice to see all the comic book people posting again. So, which they may have been all this time. I just didn't see it.
Yeah, no, comic Twitter went to Blue Sky hardcore. So yeah. And check out Geekbox. We just had a episode of me and Ryan Scott talk about some of my retro video game findings from a collection we just bought. So talk about that for a little while in the previous episode, and all sorts of other random garbage. That is it. Thank you all very much. We'll be back. Should be next week. New episode. Goodbye.